This was the project for art history where we had to do a homage to an artist. I couldn't pick an artist, so I did like 3 different styles at once. Being an artist versus being a designer. Expression from your inner being versus expressing something that isn't your idea, it isn't your product, and honestly you don't give a shit about. Creating for that moment of creativity with enjoyment, or creating for that deadline within the confines of criteria. And point 3, the one that you probably know about. Chaotic David-esque design versus, oh bloody hell, oh bloody hell. Chaotic, oh bloody hell. Chaotic David-esque design versus the clarity of the Swiss. Some would like to be reductive, but I'd much rather be destructive. This goes back to selling out. I like and prefer design that's exploratory. I want the viewer to not be told where to look, not to be told what to think, not to be told, hey, this is what you're buying. I want the viewer to decide on their own, to think on their own. I want them to actually be interested in the product to the point that there's a curiosity factor. If they actually pick up the item, there's a story to be told. Basically, you're going to have to do a little digging to get the idea that I'm selling. What does it mean to produce a stellar design that's within your capabilities, such as Swiss design, which I'm not sure if I can do. I've been trying, but it defies your preference. Point number 4. This one is a little hidden and under the surface, but I'll just share it with you guys. Humility versus confidence. Let's just say I've sorted a lot of these out in seeking a balance and a true understanding into my own motives and ideas. Although it's still a work in progress, I've found a peace over the year concerning these conflicting values. I've even found that some of these ideas need not conflict. So what are some of the lessons I've learned? Well, here's just a short summary. I love design. I love conceptualization. I love fine-tuning and executing. I love sitting at the computer and just finally seeing all that work and brainstorming and everything just coming together and making a beautiful fucking image. I can rationalize anything to myself, though. That's something else I've learned. I can rationalize anything to get my way creatively, and it can be my undoing. Another thing I learned is I want to sell myself, not a facade of myself. Problem with that I've learned is that people don't want to hire someone who is edgy and chaotic, has messy hair, and shows up to class with a hangover. Another thing I've learned is that I'd rather not sell myself. Another thing I've learned is I'd rather not do things with precision when doing things by hand. I'm a person who likes a mess. I like texture and chaos. One thing I've learned is even though I want to sell myself and not a facade of myself, if you get my drift, the problem is that people don't want to hire someone who's edgy and chaotic 90% of the time. They want a good worker. Another thing I've learned, I'd rather not do things with precision when doing things by hand. Style is situational to the audience, I've also learned. The artist in me paints for himself. The designer in me designs for the audience. Now, let's look at the designs. This is my entry piece to Loyalist College. What's interesting is the theme that I've been developing with our discussion is very prevalent already, just in this piece that I used as my application to Loyalist College. It speaks directly of the topic at hand, and the confliction here is the need to dream and the need to survive. It goes back to selling out versus, where is it? Being paid for all the work that one has invested. It goes back to being an artist versus a designer. It goes back to chaotic David S. design versus the clarity of the Swiss. I've learned that I love graphic design and I love creating something. This came after a period of not doing much of anything creatively, and this was the first time I sat down, thought out an idea, and executed it. I love just messing around in Photoshop and creating this piece. What I've learned, though, is that I have a lot of dreams, but I've also got to think about working, surviving, paying bills. Yeah. Let's look at semester 1. Let's begin. The first one we're going to look at is also following the theme I've been developing. It was for this wellness course we took, and basically we learned about dealing with stress and balance and spirituality and health and all this good stuff that I have a hard time doing. I just do, and I don't think. I don't think about anything when it comes to any action. I just do. So, I don't take care of myself This is the first wizard I did. I have another project with a wizard. Wizards are cool. I think I bored you guys when I spoke about this piece, the final project for wellness. we had to take clay and make something, and I made 2 pieces because, well, I'm a conflicting guy, and, well, I made 2 pieces that reflected 2 conflicting ideas. I spoke about a confliction between my want to just sit around and read books and philosophize and think and just frig my mind up, and wanting to be a designer who shoots from the gut and is intuitive. I also spoke of wanting to just use my intuition for design rather than just think. I like sometimes to just design and not think about what I'm designing. I like the mistakes. I like the randomness. There's a lot of boring things I could talk to you about. This project also spoke of a passionate fire inside myself. It spoke of a lot of things, but I won't bore you with the rest of that. The project didn't teach me much, except it expressed a lot of the themes that we're going to be discussing, and we'll keep discussing, and you can go back to sleep. Looking like it feels. This project was basically a texture project. Sorry, lost my mind there. It was supposed to be a project where we took text and we took an image and we created texture. I did pretty good with this project because that's what I like to do. What's fun about this project is we see a confliction again between chaos and order, between things going crazy and things going nice and peaceful. That's what I wrote about in this project, and I learned that I like to talk about myself a lot. Well then, we'll just keep going. I don't remember this project very well, but I don't like accurate drawing. I like illegible stuff. So I didn't do too good on this project, but yeah. I remember I was stressed to the limit at this point in the school year. I learned that I need to do things I learned that I can, well, modular type. I learned with this project that I can get stressed out pretty good. That sometimes projects take more than you think they're going to take. That sometimes they require care, sometimes they require effort. And if you don't work hard on them, basically, you're going to get stressed out and really, really go nuts. Our first project for Andrew. I took like 2 or 3 hours working really, really hard on a very destructive, illegible, chaotic piece. In about the last 10 minutes, I threw together something very clean and corporate. I learned that 10 minutes was worth it. That, well, you gotta know your client, you gotta know your teacher. Basically, I learned that you gotta know your audience. And sometimes people don't want another David Carson ripoff, and I'm tired of being referenced as the David Carson guy, but yeah, I'm going to find my own style. I'm going to find my own voice, but I'm learning, and I have my influences, such as David Carson. This beautiful, chaotic, messy guy from the 90s. Grunge, Nirvana, something like that. Playing with words. Well, what did I learn at this point? I learned that sometimes I overestimate my abilities. Now, don't get me wrong, I underestimate my abilities sometimes. Like a project seems like a mountain, and then I just walk over it. And then sometimes a project comes up and I feel like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh. And then sometimes I get a project and I think I'm going to walk through it easily, and it turns out really hard. I struggled with this project, and I don't know. I don't think a word should bark, but maybe a word should scream. I like screaming words, but not barking words. I don't like words that say themselves. I like words that say completely nothing. Speaking of Andrew's course, let's look at the ice cream stationery I did. It actually took more effort to do this clean style expected out of this design solution than throwing something together completely destructive. I'm really going to have a curve ahead of me to get this together, to be able to do something that's legible and clean and actually looks good. Style is sometimes situational to the audience. That's something I've been learning. Situational to what exactly you're producing. Letterheads and business cards are a challenge for me. And all the rest of the projects from semester 1. The shape assignment, I just didn't really, meh. The Matrix poster, psychedelic, whatever, meh. My drawing, people liked it, but I didn't like it. What else did I do? Oh, the wellness writing piece where we had to write about ourselves. I learned that I was pretty down in the dumps at this point, and I didn't like the fact I was working hard for a piece of paper, but here's the learning experience since then. This piece of paper is going to prove that I can do what I can do. It's going to say that, hey, I am a graphic designer, and it's jumping through hoops, it's a system, it's regimentation, but that's the way the world works, so hey, let's straighten our tie and throw it behind us as we run through the wind and find our voice and our style. What else did we do that semester? Yeah, I think that's it. Point, line, and plane, blah. I don't know, I'm not much of a... I like photography, but I didn't really enjoy myself with this project. Rather, the results, I guess, but yeah. And here's my typography diary, and I like tactile, exploratory things like what I did with this project. And I enjoyed doing it, except I didn't really do it too much, and I got a bad mark. Oh well. I did well enough. But I learned from this that you need to stick to your projects, and you need to get your shit together. Hello, my name is Gerard Pedersen. I'm a student of graphic design at Loyalist College. This presentation will be going through the past year in reflection over some of the key learning moments I experienced while tackling the many hands-on projects that were part of the courses I've been taking. We'll reflect over some of my struggles, some of my victories, and a lot of my key learning moments. Look at semester 1. Looking like it feels. Looking at my projects, there's some themes that developed over the past year. basically, there's a confliction of values going on, and something I like to use the term cognitive dissonance over. Cognitive dissonance is when one is faced with believing two contradictory ideas. These ideas may compete through external evidence or internal intuition. Intuition isn't bad. When I design with intuition. Intuition is a subconscious inner compilation of ideas and evidence previously taken in and brought together into a feeling or driving force from beyond your thinking capabilities. Modular type. It's too illegible! It's too illegible for me to read, so yeah. Typing by hand project. I'd rather be forgotten than remembered for giving in, is the lyrics by The Refused. I have a very punk rock attitude. Like, what does it even mean to sell out? To compromise your values in design for the client, art director, or teacher? Does selling out exist? When will all my hard work actually become a living or a career? Words to design by. That punk rock artist sometimes comes out and does a little jab towards Swiss design by saying it's cold and sterile, by making the donor card called replacement parts and a gear, and I'm learning to get a leash on that. So yeah.